Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever the situation may be in your neck of the woods. Hello. Welcome back to my show, SC Honesty. So one more time, this is our second week, um, our second show on my YouTube channel, SC Honesty. Thank you for coming back with me. Please subscribe if you like what you hear, and please join me every week. And just like I said, hopefully I'm going to share ideas that can help you cultivate a healthy and positive progressive relationship. And remember that what I said in the last one, I do believe that it's very possible to have a totally healthy and positive relationship. I do believe that. I do believe that it is possible to have a healthy marriage and exclusive relationship without uh, bashing, nagging, downgrading, belittling each other, without raging arguments. I do believe that. So this is why I'm trying to share with you. And remember the one thing I said at the end of the video, it's not about being perfect. It's all about being responsible. So we all can choose to be responsible before we act, no matter what happens to us. Remember I said that in the last video. So what this one is going to be is a continuation, because I did not get to finish my list on what love is. And hopefully, I said something to intrigue and spark, um, and to renew some of your hearts out there. And one more time, I want men and women, especially couples, to listen to us and join in and have a group session. Let this be some topics to discuss and even help yourselves make better. As of right now, I'm going to continue with my show. What is Love? Part 2. Okay? So, what is love? We did talk about it being a commitment, and it being basically on you, and are you willing to give your whole self? And I do believe that is the greater part of love. And we talked about it being you willfully to be um, uh, what that person wants, needs, and that means emotionally, physically, and spiritually, for those that believe in God. So one of the things I didn't get to touch on as much. So one of the things I think love is honest. Honest. And I will honestly say that if there is no honesty, there is no love. Love and honesty go together like the heart and the brain. One cannot exist without the other. Period. So the idea of being honest is to be honest with yourself. First, start with yourself. Remember I did say that love is knowing yourself. Be honest with yourself, even to the extent that it hurts. Okay? So when I say that, and what I mean is that if your mate says, I don't like something about you, baby, this about you hurts me, consider it. Consider it wholeheartedly. Your mate is not speaking just out of the blue. The one thing I learned when I was raising my children is that I was on a 24-hour stage presence with them, okay? I was on a 24-hour stage presence, okay? So the same with marriage, the same with an exclusive relationship. You are on a 24-hour stage presence. Now, in the last show, I gave an example of some things that my mother had taught me. So let me tell you what she taught me about this 24-hour stage presence. So one day, I was slowing up to turn into the driveway. And somebody just blew in the horn. And boom! I flipped them the bird. Yeah, I was mad. What the heck? I was 19, I think. I was about 19. And so and I just moved out on my own. That's what I'm alluding to. And so a little bit later, I received this phone call, and my mama is just like, "Boy, why would you flip your own mother off?" I'm like, "Mom, what are you talking about?" She said, "That was me blowing at you when you was pulling through your driveway." Boy, I just, we just laughed. We laughed until we could not laugh anymore. So what I did learn from that is this 24-hour stage presence that I'm speaking of. What if that was the preacher of my church blowing his horn? What if that was a close friend? So, and to keep that in mind, remember that God is always watching. So we are always on a 24-hour stage presence, okay? We can't get around it. No matter what we do, how we try, we are always on a 24-hour stage presence. So this is why honesty is so important. Now, at this point, we're talking about honesty with yourself, okay? Because if you be honest with yourself, you can be honest with everyone else. Now, we didn't say they can handle it, but you can be honest with everyone else. So that's what you need to keep in mind. So let's start with self. My wife tells me that, SC, this is something that you do that bothers me. What am I going to do? Oh, well, so what? Okay, well, get out of your feelings. Honestly, that's what a lot of people do. What you are doing is discarding their feelings. You are throwing their feelings, emotions, away like the trash. Okay? So this is what you have to think about. Is this the way I really want my mate to feel? Do I really want to hurt them? Because of your pride, you couldn't find another avenue to be peaceful. You couldn't find the avenue that would say, "Baby, you know what? I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm going to work on being a better person." So honesty with yourself definitely will increase your level of communication. And when I say increase your level of communication, it will make your mate want to talk to you. It will make them want to come to you. It will make them vulnerable to you. And let me tell you something. I use the word vulnerable. That's what you want. If you don't want anything else from your husband or your wife, you want them to be vulnerable. Okay? Now, let me explain. Vulnerability does not make a man weak. I'm talking to you, gentlemen. Vulnerability does not mean you are a weak man, you are a sissy, or whatever. Because men have feelings, and we need to learn to open up to our women. They have no other way of knowing what we're feeling. Don't take it out in aggression, and especially abuse. But don't take it out by ignoring them and doing and saying things inappropriate. Do everything within your power, man. I'm talking to the men. Do everything within your power to make your wife feel that she can come to you. And even when it's about you. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. Even when it's about you, because that's when the honesty dissipates. Yeah. See, some things I am going to let you think for a second. That is when the honesty dissipates like snow. Whoop, it was there, it was gone. But maybe it was never there because you cannot handle what they're saying about you. You're taking everything they say about you as a punch to the heart when it really isn't. You're taking everything they saying about you as criticizing me, criticizing me, criticizing me. But no, they're not. They're telling you how you made them feel. And your mate has a right to tell you how you made them feel. That's honesty. So be honest with yourself and say, hey baby, I understand. You know what? I did. I know that what I said to you may have hurt your feelings. And I apologize. Now let's say something a little bit about the apology. We're not talking about this roundabout fake apology. Well, if you think I did, well, no. They told you what you did. You see? There is no if you think. So that phrase should not come up if you are sincere about your apology. And that's with anything. But definitely when they're talking about you, there is no if you think, da 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 da. Just be honest with yourself and say, baby, I'm sorry. Now this is the kicker. Even if you don't think that what you did was so bad, okay? Still say, baby, I'm sorry, and I'll work on never doing that again. I'll be a better person. Because the first thing that's going to create a healthy relationship is you. Now, this is for men and women, but I'm saying men because most of the time it is the men that address the women and ask them for their hand in marriage and or even courtship. Hey, I like you. I like to get to know you better. It's mostly the men. And I'm not saying it don't happen the other way. But since that is the case, then let your selling point of yourself be that, hey, I'm open, I'm honest, and we can talk about anything and everything. And that's what's going to make you the most attractive dude, even if you may not be physically the most attractive dude. And that's what I like about myself. I'm not that great looking of a dude. And I've had so many women call me and talk about that too. They don't think I'm good looking, and that's fine. But one thing I know about myself is that I am a high quality man. I am a high quality man. I know I'm not a cheater. I'm not an abuser. I'm not going to drain you emotionally. And also, I am going to do things around the house to help you, to make you know and feel that I love you. I don't want my wife doing all the dishes all the time. I appreciate her cooking. I cook for her. I clean up the house. I give her a shower if she needs to. Do things. But I'm just saying, and that doesn't make me a perfect man. I'm imperfect because I have natural flaws. But even though we have natural flaws, does not mean we have to let our flaws consume us. Our flaws are not us, okay? We can get control of our flaws. Now, when we talk about things like that, and we're not talking about, okay, if you make an investment and that investment went wrong, that's imperfection. There's not much you can do about that. It was something you was unaware of. You didn't even intend for it to happen. That's different than your wife saying, oh, baby, I'm sorry I burnt the bacon, and you hit her, or call her a name, or you start criticizing. You don't do that. And women don't do it to the men. We are naturally flawed people. That's what I'm talking about. Now, things that where we can be responsible, be responsible. I know that I can be honest. I just hope that you can accept my honesty. That's the difference. And if you can't accept my honesty, therein lies another problem too. But I'm saying to all of us, women and men, let's be honest with our mates. Be able to accept when they come to us and say This hurt me. This didn't make me feel good. Don't call them names. Don't bash them. Don't tell them they're weak. Because women tend to call men weak when we convey our feelings. You know, so many women always set up and say, I want a man that can talk to me. I want a man that can love me, know how to. But then when he comes and tells you how he feels, oh, you always in your feelings. You always do. Don't do that. Don't. Men do have feelings. And if we tell you how we feel, don't criticize us and put us down. You understand that, ladies? And by that same token, men, don't criticize your woman, even though she is a woman. So you might think that all you do is nag, nag, nag. Now, there is a clear difference between nagging and expressing your feelings. So don't call her a nag if she's not nagging. Nagging is babbling, babbling, babbling. Most of the time, no importance. Every little thing that happens, you got something to say. That's nagging. But if she comes to you and says, baby, I have a problem with what happened, that's not nagging. Okay? So let's make that straight. So we're not, you can get tired of her nagging if she's really nagging. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because we all do. We have our flaws too. That make them just, I just want to run him off the road. You know? But the thing is that we do all have our flaws. But we all can take control where we have control of. And I'm telling you right now that 99%, let's just 95, let's just say 95% of our personality, I think we have control of it. You know, we're not talking about people that may have other issues or natural problems or something like that. But in general, we can't control everything and anything we do. And even like going back to cheating, like I talked about last week, that's not something that happens coincidentally. It doesn't happen unintentionally. It is an intentional act, and that's that. Call it what it is. If she forgives you, if he forgives you, try not to do it again if you're going to continue. But like I said, that's one of the things that, no. I'm not giving a second chance. Because to me, that is just the worst of the worst that I think you can do to a person. Now, we're not talking about killing and being abusive, of course. Yes, that's terrible too. But to cheat on me, that's too serious. And I cannot. And really, I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to stay with you. Because that's just... You heard what I said last week. It's just nasty, okay? To me, you just ran me in the mud in your mind because you told me that I'm not worth anything to you, okay? Whether you had a great time with the dude or not, or the woman, if it's the man. You know, I don't care about that. I'm only telling you how I feel, and that would definitely not make me feel good at all. So, one last thing about the honesty is be honest with yourself, even to the point it hurts, and make the necessary changes. If you realize your mate tells you something, you need to make changes, please make the change. Make the change. They're not talking just for nothing. Nobody that I know talks simply for nothing. And we're talking about, we got gabbers and babblers, yes. But we're talking about when somebody approaches you in all sincerity, they're not telling you they have a problem with you simply for nothing. And as I just said, sometimes, even if you're joking about something and your wife says, I don't like that joke. And of course, this goes the other way around too, vice versa. Acknowledge that. Okay, baby, I'm sorry. Don't just, I was just only playing out. Don't do that. You know, and I'm going to get better at that myself. But the thing is, is acknowledge her feelings. Acknowledge his feelings. Don't just pass it off because it may have been cool with you. Just because it was cool with you, it doesn't have to be cool with her. Or, vice versa. So just keep that in mind. Make the necessary changes. And that goes for both of you. So one of the things that I also had for love is faithful. So we talked about cheating a little bit. But faithfulness to me means that we're going to be faithful under all circumstances. Don't lend credence to anything that will subject you to negativity, impurity, immoral, unfaithfulness, dishonesty, anything like that to your marriage. Don't lend credence to any of it. Because, see, we like to lie to ourselves and say, oh, I'm just looking. Not really. Because as I said last time, we have our mind. And our mind is it is the most powerful thing we have for real. And if you lend credence to this woman passing, your mind goes adrift. I'm sure women do it too. Now, I've asked my wife and some of her friends, they say they don't. I don't believe that. I don't care what you say. In many instances, women are not that dissimilar to men. We are different in many ways. But when it comes to lusting after the opposite sex, I believe we both do it. I believe we both do it. And I've heard too many women do it. Even friends of mine. He's fine. See, y'all might think just because a man might go, God, oh, man. Oh, see, that seems aggressive. Oh, he's really wanting that. Y'all doing the same thing when you say, oh, my. Just because you said, oh, my, and he was just a little bit more aggressive about his attitude, that don't change the intent of your meaning and what you're feeling. You saw a guy, you liked it, and hey, who knows? In your mind, you're doing something. 9 times out of 10. So, but the thing is, faithfulness begins with your mind and your heart. I'm going to quote some scripture sometimes as close as I can, but I do know that the Bible says that if a man looks at a woman so long as to lust after her, he has committed adultery in his heart. Does that mean that God is judging us for cheating in the mind? No. It does mean don't do it because you're fooling yourself. You're playing with yourself. You are tempting yourself. That's one thing it does mean. But the other thing it does mean is that if it happened, you intended for it to happen. So that's why I say that cheating cannot happen unintentionally. Never. It cannot. So be faithful to yourself and be faithful to your wife or husband. So faithfulness starts in the heart and the mind. Okay? So that's what we have to do if we really want to have a healthy marriage, relationship. Again, not perfect, responsible. But we have to look at things sometimes from the eyes of our mate. If we look at that from the eyes of our mate, really, how can we not be faithful? How can I possibly look at something from the eyes of my wife and not want to feel faithful to her? Yeah, I can see and I would know that, okay, this would tear her apart. There's no way I don't know that, okay? There's no way possibly I don't know that. So look at things sometimes, oftentimes, most of the time, from the eyes of your mate. So that goes back to our honesty too, that, be honest with yourself if they address you with something. So the other thing let me touch on honesty one more time. So the other thing too about honest is when you speak, whatever you say to your mate, an opinion, be honest. I know especially sometimes we men feel trapped. If I say this, oh boy, everything's gonna break loose, man. Okay, but ladies, you should want your man to be honest with you. Be so honest with your mate that you can tell them their breath stinks. That's the whole point. Don't think that that's offensive. You should want your mate to let you know that something is not right with you before y'all step out that door. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of being honest too. Talk to each other and always be honest. So, okay. So we talked about being faithful. And that's one thing I do. And one thing I will stress is be faithful even through the storms. Even when y'all have some turbulence that arise. And as I talked about, being passive aggressive is not healthy. But if you're in one of those situations where you just refuse to talk to each other, I hope you don't do it. But if you're there, don't use the negative moment, to go out and do anything that's not healthy. Okay? And that includes flirting. Don't use that moment to run to the bar, run to the strip club, to just say, I just need to get away. No. Now you put yourself amongst temptation, and that can possibly happen. So you have to be honest with yourself. The one thing I think you can do, stay home. Dwindle down, wind down, and talk about it. That's where part of that honesty comes in, is to be able to talk about it. Every marriage will fail without communication. That's what love is. It is communication also. Every marriage will fail without it. If you don't have it, it's not going to work. Communication is a skill set. It comes from within you. So you have to learn how to convey yourself. If you don't know how to convey yourself, perhaps allow your mate to teach you what she would like to hear. Perhaps allow your mate to teach you what he would like to hear, how he would like to hear it. Because how you say things, honestly, means as much as how you do things. Don't think that, when you being sarcastic, condescending, don't think your mate can't pick up on that. We do. Any of us in the opposite position picks up on it. And we don't have to like it. We don't have to like it, and we don't have to accept it. So how you communicate is the difference, and it can be a deal breaker. It can be a deal maker or a deal breaker. Communication will make or break your marriage. So see, honesty, faithfulness, communication, all of these things go hand in hand. And they're all the equivalent of what's more important, the brain or the heart? Well, the body won't exist without either one of them. Period. Bottom line. Without the brain, without the heart. Go a little bit further, without oxygen. So all of these things work together. So that's what honesty, communication, faithfulness, love, all these things have to work together. And again, we're not talking about creating perfection. We're talking about create a responsible person within you. Do everything it takes to make your marriage a priority, to make it a top-notch establishment amongst society today, because that's what's missing so much in our society is positive focus with marriage. I hear people talk about, oh, if it don't work, I'll get out of it. Ah, it ain't nothing but a piece of paper. No, it's not. It is not just a piece of paper. You should not go into it with the attitude, if it don't work, I'll get out of it. You shouldn't even get married. If you can utter those words, you shouldn't get married. Period. It is very serious. It involves emotions. It involves physicality. It involves spirituality for those that believe. And all these things have to culminate together. And they just have to become one. They have to work together. And that's why all the essentials, the communication, the honesty, the faithfulness, the loyalty, respect, all these things have to work together for the benefit and the sanctity of a successful marriage. And that's just the bottom line, folks. Sometimes we want to come into marriage and relationships and we just really don't think it's serious, but it is. You want to get along, you want to have fun, but even amidst those things, you can't take the seriousness of marriage out of it, okay? So be faithful, remain faithful through the storms. Don't let anything bring negativity into your marriage. Don't get angry and start doing things that will raise suspect. You hear me? Don't get angry and start doing things that will raise suspicion. Don't start coming in late. Don't start doing things that you don't normally do. Whispering on the phone, texting, putting your phone down. Don't do things to do anything. And I'm saying don't start. Don't do it, period, in your marriage and serious relationship. Because the last thing that you want is for your mate to be suspicious. It's bad enough that somewhat we naturally are suspect. But when you do things to give them reason, that's not cool. And sometimes you probably don't even intend for it to be that way. But it does come out that way. So stay away from things. If you meet somebody and it's a business and you have to take their number and your mate may not be around to hear everything, let her know when you get home. Babe, I just want you to know I got this woman's number because we're going to talk about a business proposal. We're going to talk about doing this, da-da-da-da-da. I was a photographer. Am a photographer. And sometimes I meet a woman that, hey, you do pictures, right? And I have to take her number. Baby, I got this woman's number today because she wants to do pictures. So da-da-da-da. Don't do things to raise suspect. Okay? So, ideally, and I don't even mind my wife having the code to my phone. And she's giving me the code to her phone once upon a time. But I don't care. There's nothing in there that I don't want her to see. If it is, I intend for you to see it. Because if I'm going to hide something, I'm going to hide something. And if I don't want you to have the code to my phone, that kind of, it raises suspect. I know people argue that, well, it's my privacy. But what's so private in your exclusive or married life that your mate can't know about? So that would be my question. What is that private? Not that we necessarily need to go through the phone anyway, but you never know when an emergency may arise and he may need to get somebody's number out of your phone. She may need to get somebody's number out of your phone. Well, don't go get another phone either that you can just use and then, oh, baby, you can check my phone. And then when you got another phone in your pocket, no. But we're talking about being completely honest and open about everything. Everything about love is transparent. Period. It's not diffused. It's not covered up. It's not hidden. Everything about love is transparent. So be transparent through all levels of your marriage. Period. Don't ain't your business. You're one. What affects you affects me. Of course it's my business. Okay? So that's what love is to me. And getting back to the one thing that we talked about is one thing love is not. Okay? It's not abusive. Love is not abusive. Not physically, not mentally, and not emotionally. Love by no means and on any level is abusive. And that means sometimes if you keep saying something to your mate that they don't like and you keep saying that you're joking, that's abuse. If your mate has let you know that they did not like something and you keep doing it anyway, that's abuse. Just because you ain't punching the crap out of them, that don't mean that you're not abusive. In fact, I'm going to tell you a little story. I remember a lady named Mitzi I used to work with when I lived in Louisville. And she was she was very, very pretty. You know, a dark girl, had pretty hair, pretty eyes, and she was really gorgeous. But I used to call her ugly, playing. I definitely was playing because there was nothing ugly about her. But I used to play with her so much. I remember her saying to me, she said, you know, when you say something so much, and even though you say you're joking, it really becomes serious. It takes on a serious connotation. Man, that hit me. That hit me really, really hard. And you know what? And like I said, I learned when I was 16, 17 or something, when my mama told me that you always getting angry. And I said, oh, people don't make me mad. But like I said, I learned that I control me. And I said, Missy, you are right. I understand completely what you're saying. And at that time, I said, you know what? I'm just playing with you. I said, you are a beautiful woman. And I said that I do apologize for doing that. And for a long time, we became best friends for a minute. You know, every day we went to work, pounding, hey, how you doing? I never called her ugly again. So, ideally, that's the same in our relationship, especially our marriage. If your mate asks you to stop doing something, it doesn't make them feel cool, stop. That is abuse if you continue to do it. Okay? So we have to understand that we got into a marriage, a relationship with another person because we didn't want to be by ourselves. It has to be. I mean, that's the only reason to chill, because we don't want to be by ourselves. So why do we want to hurt that other person? We have to just become one with them to the extent that we feel them. We do. We have to become one with them to the extent that we feel them. We have to. Other than that, I would have stayed single. Think about that. We don't want to playfully keep doing something, so-called playfully, that our spouse, our significant other said, would you please stop doing that? Stop doing it. That's responsible, not perfect. That's a responsible act. So And this typically doesn't mean, oh, you can't play. No, there's a level that some people want to play and a level that some people don't. And we have to respect those boundaries. I, for one, I'm not crazy about being called red bone. People do it. Now, I don't get mad and get ready to punch people out, but I don't like it. Ain't nothing red about me. Whatever, I'm light skinned and that's it. You know, I don't, and don't get me wrong, I've attacked some people dark skinned. That's, hey, if I'm coming, if we roasting, Jack, and I'm boom, 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 coming at you. But sometimes, even still, if they say, hey, that hurts me, acknowledge it. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't go to that level again. You know. So it does happen. Yellow. People call light skinned people yellow. You know, hey, whatever. That chair is yellow, not me. But hey. But respect the boundaries in your marriage, in your exclusive relationship, period. It is so imperative to respect the boundaries. You got into a marriage or relationship with another person. That means you're bringing another person into your life. Certainly, most certainly, you did not do that just to hurt them. Right? Most certainly, you did not do that just to hurt them. So put your pride aside and respect the boundaries of your mate, of your spouse. Sometimes we get too prideful, too egotistical, narcissistic ways maybe, and we just, oh, you always, no. Don't do that. Keep your spouse's feelings with your feelings. Don't do anything to them that you would not want for them to do to you. Again, the Bible says that too. It says, love others as you love yourself. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. So these are things that we take for granted. We have allowed our society to divide us. So let me tell you, this stuff on social media, because one thing I am really tired of, I'm seeing these things of white women got a big house at 24 and happily married. Not. Let me tell you something. This stuff is on social media to create more divisiveness, especially between us black men and women. You may not believe it, but that's it. If you really think they're happy and all they're happy at 24 and blah, 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 just no. White men cheat just like black men are cheat. Asian men cheat, Hispanic men cheat, and women too. Well, this all goes for women too. In fact, I will tell you that I used to do drive the tour buses. And I've heard white women talk about their men. I've heard so many of them talk about their men left them and left them with nothing. And these are fairly wealthy people. So men are men. Women are women. So let's stop the color barrier thing with it. Because 9 times out of 10, love has no association with color. You got bad and good and black and white, Hispanic, Asian, African, whatever, the race is. There's bad and good. So, but between us black people and black love, let's let all this divisive junk on social media, don't let that fool you into thinking, oh, I got to try the other side because it's better. If you want to go there, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But don't make it because you think your black man or your black woman ain't jack. Okay? Don't make it because you think, oh, they ain't. No. There are good black men and there are good black women. There are good white men and there are good white women. There are good Asian men. There are good Asian women. There are good African men. There are good African women. Now, there are some stereotypes that can be put up on us, all of us. White people are more likely to walk outside with no shoes on. Okay? Black people are likely to always start jamming when they hear a beat, playing the air guitar. We just act like we can just, like, we get in a band, we really act like we can just play it, right? But those are fine stereotypes. You know, they're funny and they're true. But when it comes to love and the heart, no, it's not true. They're either a good person or a bad person. They're either good for you or they're not. Okay? So, dealing with the faithfulness and abusive, stop the joking. Stop gaslighting. Don't gaslight your mate. Don't play emotional games. You know, be honest with yourself. Don't always kick it back to your mate if they tell you that you've done something to bother them. Don't make them think that they're always the problem. Because mathematically speaking, it is utterly and expressly impossible. And I'm not going to say this any other way. It is impossible that only one person can be wrong in a marriage or a long-term relationship all the time. I said that. It is utterly and expressly impossible that one person can be wrong all of the time. Somebody's been selfish, narcissistic, uh, uh, egotistical, arrogant, whatever it may be. You're not being honest with yourself. If all the time you kicking it back to the other person, you're not being honest with yourself. That's why we're talking. That's why we're talking about SC honesty. Be honest. If you really want a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, be honest. Stay faithful, even through the storms. Don't play games. Don't do things to create suspicion. Every last one of us are human. That means every last one of us has feelings. It doesn't matter if the men acknowledge it or not. Men have feelings and women have feelings. It doesn't matter if the man, ooh, is big, bulky, strong. He still has feelings. It doesn't matter what background a woman comes from. Oh, I'm independent. I don't need it. You have feelings. You have emotions. And both of our feelings can be hurt. Okay? So let's stop denying that. Let's be real. Let's be honest with ourselves. Both of our feelings can be hurt. Now, ladies sometimes forget that men do have feelings, and y'all treat us as such. Always want to handle us like, don't nothing matter, da 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 da. No, men have feelings. So, ideally, is that we have feelings. Please, always keep that in mind and acknowledge your spouse. Don't become so prideful that you can't acknowledge your spouse. So, and this is not necessarily directed towards anybody or any sex. It's directed towards the person to whom it applies. Okay? So, you may be the default problematic person. If you are, be honest with yourself. And if you need to, both of you sit down, have a heart-to-heart talk, and as I said last week, allow them to express themselves about you honestly and be faithful. Okay? So, before we conclude this, the other don't of what love is not. Cheating. I talked about it last week, but I'm going to touch on it again. Cheating is not healthy. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. There's just bottom line, nothing good that's going to come out of it. Okay? So there we have it. We said it again. There's nothing good that's going to come out of cheating. So if we do a recap, and everything that I just spoke of within this hour, there's nothing good that's going to come out of your marriage or relationship if you don't put all of these things in perspective. You have to put your love, your marriage in perspective. Make your marriage a focal point. Make time for each other. Don't get so busy with your friends and family that you forget about each other. And you should be sharing those things together anyway. There are sometimes I'll go over my wife's family and enjoy the event with them. And there are sometimes I might just choose to stay home. And that's okay too. We're not talking about that. But we're talking about don't do anything without your spouse so much that they feel neglected. And this is intentional. When you're intentionally doing things and doing this and, giving your spouse just a little bit of time here and there whenever you can. Marriage is not about convenience, as I said. Marriage is making time. So one last thing that love is not. I saved this for last because I think it's one of the most important things I can say. One of the most. I don't think marriage is hard. I don't think love is complicated. In fact, I outright hate that phrase. It's complicated. No, it's not. Either it is or it isn't. Either it's healthy or it's not. Love and marriage are not hard and are not complicated. Now, am I saying that, it's just easy, you just plan on? No, it takes work. Yes, it does. But what makes love? What makes marriage? There's only one answer. I'll give you a second to think about it and see if you think what I think. What makes love? What makes marriage? Okay? What is your answer? Well, my answer is the mind. Your mind. Your mind is the only thing that's going to make or break your marriage. How you respond, how you act, how you give, how you love, how you talk, what you do, your actions, period. That's what's going to make or break your marriage. Your mind. See, that's a little bit too simple too, right? Because as I talked about before, that attitude is everything. Don't do things to raise suspicion. Be romantic. Everything, all this involves your mind, a mindset. Make up your mind that you're going to be good to somebody. Make up your mind that you want the best for your mate. Now, when we say this, we're talking about the reciprocal part too. Because like I told you that my definition of a husband is, I'm just going to make my wife happy. It's my job to make my wife happy. If she has that same attitude, we should have very few problems. Not perfect, responsible. The idea of her having the same attitude means that we're on the same wavelength. And that means that we should be somewhat smooth sailing. And when the turbulence hit, we should be able to handle it. Because guess what? Her mindset is, I'm not going to self-destruct my marriage. And my mindset is, I'm not going to self-destruct my marriage. Her mindset is, I want to make him happy. My mindset is, I want to make her happy. Her mindset is, I want the best that can come out of this marriage and this problem that we're having. My mindset is, I want the best that can come out of this marriage and this problem that we're having. That's why I said last week, don't let your problems consume you and become you, so much so that you destroy your marriage. If we are both on that same wavelength, we should not have any serious problems. And again, I do believe, I wholeheartedly believe that we can have that type of marriage. So when we disagree, we can disagree peacefully and lovingly and not name call, not calling her out of her name, not calling him out of his name. I believe that can exist. I believe that with all my heart that that can exist. Because it's all about a mindset. Like I said, that's what makes the difference in our marriage, is our mindset. If you went into your marriage, well, I'll just get out of it. If you don't, boom, you just blew it right there. You came into your marriage, your relationship, well, if it don't work out, I'm just, okay. You already built your foundation on shaky ground. Right? That's what you did. You just built your foundation on shaky ground. Your mind, bro, sis, ladies, and gentlemen, your mindset is your marriage. Period. Bottom line. Now, there's a lot of things that's what love is. But that is what love is to me. So this was what love is. What is love? Part 2. Your mindset, people, is your marriage, your relationship. It takes both of you. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, hey, it is uneven. Sometimes you can bring them with you. Sometimes you can't. So if you're in a relationship, you can always exit. If you've given it all you've got, then it might be something that you can exit from. So next week, we're going to talk about dating. And within that confines of dating, we're going to talk about sex while you're dating. So I'm not going to touch on that yet, but just tune in and we're going to talk about that because that changes things, okay? So, but anyway, if you're in a relationship and you just can't bring them here because you have to be here, I don't care. Some people are strong enough that they might be able to do that. They maybe handle it. And basically, that's really humbling yourself and just doing whatever you got to do to keep the peace, even blaming yourself for things when you even didn't do it. That's great. I can do that for so long. And I'm going to try to even make it my lifestyle because that's what I'm talking about here is changing our mindset to make it a lifestyle. But it's okay to exit if you can't get it. In a marriage, it is not so easy to get out of. I do not believe in just divorcing because, yeah, sometimes they do. They get crazy. They get hectic. It's like a bomb blew up in your face. But marriage is different. Marriage is an emotional attachment and you have your vow with God and each other. I think that's serious. That's not something to take lightly. if it's like this, work as hard as you can to even it out, to get you guys on the same level. Your marriage is your mindset. Period. So, to recap real quick, your marriage is your mindset. Honesty. Be honest with yourself. Stay faithful, even through the storms. Don't cheat. Communicate. Do all of these things because your mindset is your marriage. Thank you once again for joining my show, and I really appreciate you. I'm SC Honesty, and I hope to see you next week. Next week we're going to talk about dating and the things that go along. So the idea is I'm trying to build the curriculum as I go and to pace it out to have, different topics each show. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I said something to prick your heart. Tell people, subscribe to my channel, please. SC Honesty, and be good to each other. Even when you're angry with each other, be good to each other. Anger don't change anything. I'm getting ready to go into something else again. Anger doesn't change anything. Just because you're angry don't mean you get mad. You have a right to hurt somebody's feelings. No, you don't. Even when you're angry, be good to each other. Remember why you married that person. Remember why you fell in love with that person. Anger should not change that. The mindset. Your mind controls your anger and everything you do. Your marriage is your mind. Peace out.